Okay guys, 5400 Riviera 5400 Sport Yacht Platinum Edition. This is the test drive video, so if you're interested in a detailed walkthrough, either stay to the end or follow the link coming up on the screen now. I'll also pop a link in the description below. Riviera, made in Australia. This is the first Australian boat that I've actually brought to the channel. So yeah, if those of you are watching in America or Europe, this is what we build down under. Welcome. The Aussies really don't need this boat introduced to them because it's the most popular brand, bar none, in the country. And there's a reason for that, so I hope I'm going to show you that today. We're just going to get the boat moving, talk to you about the cruising speeds, the fuel flow. We'll go out in the ocean, not right out in the ocean, we'll just go out in some choppy water and then take her up to full speed towards the end of the video. So right now doing a GPS speed of 5.7 knots to 5.8 knots. That's at an engine revs of 600 revs. That's really just idle forwards. I'm on this beautiful captain's chair which has got all the electric settings, made for bigger blokes than me, to be fair, because I've put the seat down and my legs don't touch, but I have short legs, so normal people won't have an issue with that. The display is amazing. I'll go into more detail on the display with all this Alcantara, it looks like, and the way it's been laid out from an operational perspective in the walkthrough. All clear around, windy, cold-ish kind of day today. We'll just get the boat moving. So at 6 knots, we're not making offensive wash. Nothing to worry about. Coming up through 7 knots, 900 revs, and fuel flow at these low speeds is a total of 26 litres. That's giving me 8 knots speed. Still not really too offensive, but I think above the 8 to 10 knot, we're going to get at that point of offensiveness for other people. So just looking over my shoulder, yeah. So that's going to knock someone off the stand-up paddleboard. So 9 knots or above, at an engine speed of 1,000 revs, fuel flow of 34 litres total. That's really time to get on the plane if you're going somewhere. So let's do that. Let's get the boat up to cruising speed. 22-ton light ship, 3,000 total fuel, 800 water, 400 holding tank. Got a water maker on board, got a gen set, so she's probably about 26 ton all up, thereabouts. These things are made to go offshore. So again, for those of you that are looking at this video from outside of Australia, we've got the Pacific Ocean on one side, we've got the Indian Ocean on the other side, we've got the Southern Ocean down the bottom, and some other sea to the north. I never go there. That's probably not so rough, but just full of bad things that want to eat you. So if you're a boat builder in Australia, you need to factor in that people are going to be going offshore. You need to factor in that quite regularly people are going to be tackling tougher than average conditions. So that's what Riviera do in their build process. So just coming through 22 knots there. Best cruise is actually 24 and a half. So I'm sitting on 2,050 revs at 190 total fuel at 22.5, 22.9. Let's just get the speed up to best cruise. This hull's beautiful. You can feel the displacement and you can feel the V section forward in the boat. She's really parting the waves. I'm now at 2150 revs. That's 24.5 to 24.7, and I'm going to put the boat to a gentle turn to port to follow this bay before I increase a little bit of speed, and that's giving me a fuel flow of 200 litres at best cruise. Now, next thing that's worth pointing out, these boats don't have an aggressive heel angle when you are turning. So from a guest's perspective or from a driver's perspective, it's comfortable and my sight lines are clear. I'm just going to give it a little bit of an increase in speed there, and that's giving me 29 knots. This is this is luxurious stuff. So all clear around, and what I'm going to do is point the boat out to sea. So that's a real easy 29 knots, 250 litres consumption, 2,330 revs. Now I'm just going to come off the pace a little bit because I'm going to go into some waves in a second. and I just don't like, whenever I enter a new sea zone or from inshore to offshore, it makes no sense to go barreling in at full speed until you understand what the conditions are, so I just don't do that. So back down to a sensible 21 knots, and we're just going to head out. Basically, we've got middle head to port, we've got south head to starboard, and we've got the swell just coming straight in on the nose at the moment. So I'm just going to go into that for a little bit. I'll expose the boat to a couple more proper swells coming in through the heads before we then go across. So mixture of ferry boat wash that I'm going across now and ocean swells. I can see the wash being parted and sent out at my forward pillars just here, and really not much going over the bow. I'm sure it will at times, but I feel incredibly comfortable. No desire to stand up, I might add. I'm 5'7", I'm not a tall bloke. Obviously if I want to increase my height for this particular setup, I've got a button just to do that. But my visibility is excellent because the design of this bow it looks like it almost sloops down. I don't know if it actually does, but it looks as if it almost does. So even a guy of my stature at this helm chair can sit quite comfortably, and you really do feel like you're the captain of the Starship Enterprise on this setup. It's very impressive. You can also imagine yourself transiting, doing ocean transits, which a lot of people are going to do on these boats, and being comfortable with guests next to you in this L-shaped seat just here conversing. So we'll just go into some of these. I'm just hitting those now at a 17 knot speed, and we are now properly exposed to the sea. And we have a southeasterly breeze running and an easterly swell. Kind of short and sharp, not too many considerable rollers, but perfectly fine. I'm going to, I've got one Riviera, as a matter of fact. That's another thing. You will not go to any marina in this country without seeing at least one Riviera. Fact. Like, they're just everywhere. So now I'm going to go across the swell. Riviera fly bridge going to port. You'll see that on the GoPro. And we'll just increase the speed a little bit to show how the boat goes with the waves on the beam. Got a lagoon catamaran on my bow. I'm going to leave him to starboard. So I've got boat wash coming on me now, and I've got swell coming right to left, my right to left. And I'm just sitting on 18 knots. We'll just increase that speed a little bit more. Got to say a big thank you to Ian, who's sitting behind us. This is his boat. Normally we test stock boats or just new boats. So thank you for letting us use your boat. It's I feel very honoured when people allow me to jump behind their multi-million-dollar assets and have a drive. So that's really cool. So comfortable. We do not have a gyro on this boat. It is an option, but just point out. Look at the horizon right now. We have considerable waves hitting us on the beam. Boat feels solid. So that 22 tons in light ship mode plus loaded is giving us quite a low centre of gravity compared to many other boats that I've personally tested, whether they're sport flies or flies, but even some of the sedan style boats. You can feel the thickness of the hull on this Riviera as you pass through the waves. The other thing worth pointing out, so I'll shut up for this, it's a very quiet ride. So I'm just going to shut up and let you listen. So I've got the doors open at the back. We are going through swell. I can hardly hear the waves impacting on the hull. Many boats that I test in this category, I can hear them. So that just is another thing, another little thing to point out. If you're going to be cruising up to Nelson Bay, if you're going to be doing long trips as an owner-operator, and you see yourself enjoying that sort of lifestyle, offshore, this boat's going to be less tiring, because long trips, 5-10 hours, whatever, when you are bashing around in the ocean, you'll notice that sort of thing because it'll just get tiring. So this boat says to me that it's going to be a more comfortable ride offshore for periods of time, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 hour stretches, which you could absolutely do on this boat. So sitting there at 20 knots, I'm just going to bump that speed back up to best cruise again. Swell behind me, all clear around. 22 knots and climbing. 220 litres total at 24 now. Waves behind me. Once again, even with the waves behind me in the boat, the pitch angle going like this, I don't have any desire to stand. I can just relax and cruise. So what I'm going to do, when we get out of this swell here, we shall open the throttles up a little bit more. So it's the IPS 1100, it's 725 horsepower. I didn't mention that before, but we'll do a little demo of the wing stations, and we might actually, if we get time, I'm going to film this boat parking in Ian's dock, because he's got a remote control for the joystick. I didn't actually know that that was an option. I've just discovered that today, and I think many of you are going to be interested in something like that. So building the speed through 25, 26 knots. I'm just going to draw a straight line down here. We've got some blokes in a tinny or something over there. 27, 28, 270 litres consumption of climbing, not flat water yet. She glides over these waves like the Starship Enterprise. You really do feel quite powerful underway on this thing. Level attitude, beautiful level attitude. 30 knots, 2,450 revs, 31 knots. Bearing in mind, this boat's due for her slip in a couple of months, so she's not got a fresh hull. Just coming off the plane there. So I saw about 31 knots there. Super impressive. So I had a feeling this was the case, but Ian confirmed it talking to him this morning. A boat like this, the 5400 Sport Yacht Platinum, appeals to someone who wants to solo operate, so single hand the boat. You can entertain a large number of guests, but you can still park the boat yourself. With the dual wing stations out the back, with the joystick operation just here, and also having the remote control. I'm just going to do a hard to start it. Also having the remote control, you really do have a lot of options to bring this boat into your dock or any dock by yourself. So if you're someone who's coming from a flybridge, if you're someone who's stepping up from a smaller sport yacht, and if you've got perhaps a growing family, or you just want to entertain big Sunday lunches, this boat will do all of that. You don't need to worry about other people essentially getting in your way. But what it will also do is it'll Whitsundays in the winter. You know, if you live in Melbourne, if you live in Sydney, and you keep the boat there and you summer the boat there, you can absolutely either drive the boat yourself up the coast or just get someone to do it for you. It's designed for that. Put it this way, every Riviera in Sydney has already done an 18-hour offshore test drive to get to Sydney from the factory. They just drive them down here, they don't truck them. I mean, you're not going to get something like this on the truck anyway. But what a great test of the boat's integrity, knowing that it's already done an offshore journey of that amount of time before it gets to you. And when you look at the Riviera warranty, I mean, they warrant the structure of their hulls. I think I read something like 7 years in the first 2,600 or 2,800, I forget exactly, engine hours. I don't see too many warranties of that length. So if that doesn't give you an indication of the confidence that these blokes have in their product, I don't know what will. So we've got a little bit more wind now. I'm just gonna transfer to the joystick. I'll just point the boat. I'll just point the boat downwind. I just want to show you guys what is possible. I'll just do it from this joystick actually, just for ease of operation. So I've got the joystick here. I have 2 wing stations out the back, and we also have a remote control to operate it. But I find these bigger boats, the bigger they get, the easier the joystick becomes to operate. So I'm actually just going to go back downwind. I'm kicking up a bit of sand there. And I'm just going to slew the boat from port to starboard. So if you're new to joystick operation, if you've come from shafts, this does not take a long time to get used to. So what I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to slew the boat to port. Remembering you can do this from either wing station or from the remote control. Just a quick one back to starboard. I'm really just trying to show you what this thing. So hopefully that's coming up in the drone shots, how powerful that is. So just imagine the ability to bring a 26-ton boat sideways into the dock compared to what you were used to, perhaps with your outboards or with your shaft drive. If you've had IPS before, then you obviously know what I'm talking about. But I just meet so many guys. Just recently, the last guy I had this conversation with last week came from a Riviera 3600 sport yacht, and he's just moved to IPS, and he said he'll never go back. So when you have that sort of maneuverability, it makes your life a lot easier. Anyway, I hope that was useful. If you're interested in a detailed walkthrough on this boat, follow the link coming up on your screen now. My name's Dan Jones. This has been Dan's Boat Life. If you like this content and want to support what I do, give us a like, share it with your mates, consider supporting the Patreon, all that good stuff. I make this content for you, so I hope you found it useful. Thanks very much.